Welcome to Tim and Joel Call It in the Ring. I'm Joel. No, now I'm Tim. That's Joel. We're going to talk about wrestling. Very mid wrestling. Very Burberry. Yeah.
I brought my most middest setup I could.
Yep.
You
That's
get
pretty mid. You'll
yeah,
settle in with the literally hundreds of wrestling podcasters out there because there's
I know.
hundreds. I didn't know
Did
that.
you
I found that out this week. I didn't realize it was
did you know
so bananas. There's a whole
it's
other ecosystem I'm not aware of. Like there's a lot of them. A lot of y'all.
it's not even there are hundreds, but if you listen to Kathy Kelly and Samantha Irvin, they're all uggos too. So
They
we
are
got
all
that
logos. I
going.
mean, yeah,
Listen,
we're nailing that brief.
we're doing pretty all right, and I can't complain. So yes, y'all got laptop and headphones, Joel, for today because I am on a remote location. This is what we do. This is what we do now. This is life. Hey, subscribe to us here at Fightful Overbooked. I promise you, we're usually a lot more professional looking. There probably is an echo, and that's probably on my side. I apologize. I'm also using Wi-Fi instead of being plugged directly in with an Ethernet
Like
cable.
that
That's my problem.
animal.
Yeah, subscribe to us here at Fightful Overbooked. Join us in leaving a comment. And how about a thumbs up? How about that? Eh? That'd be helpful. And you can send us your super chats. Your super chats will help us do things like, oh, I don't know, upgrade our equipment when I'm away for a weekend or something
Purchase
like
a
that.
recording studio.
Purchase a recording studio if you're Tim. That's what he
Yeah,
wants, so I get it.
it's very much
And
like
also, well, one thing I got to do is I need a better fly rig. I need a better rig that when I'm out like this, like one of those Rode small podcaster boxes. I
oh, I
was
know.
offered one. I was offered one, and now I should have taken him up on it. I'll talk to that guy. But anyway, we got a Fightful Overbooked Discord. Sean Ross Sapp doesn't know about it, but you do now if you join us in the link in the description. That's all you need to know. What do we have to talk about? We have so much to talk about. We're undercooked today, as Graham says in the chat, and he's right. We're absolutely undercooked, and so was wrestling this week.
Delightful. Yeah. So I watched Dynamite and SmackDown, and I'm like 95% sure I watched Raw, but I can't remember a damn thing that happened. So
Does it feel like some weeks Raw just kind of runs together? Like
yeah,
when we come to the show, we're just like, what the hell happened on Raw? It was 6 days ago.
I know it feels ages ago. I don't know. I had a very busy week. I had a gig on Friday, and it was like a whole thing. So I'm still super tired.
At least you won't get COVID from this gig, right? Jury's still out.
I had my booster a few weeks ago, so probably
Oh,
the
good.
sweet spot for the brief window of immunity we all get, it seems.
That's right. All right, where do we want to start? I mean, listen, the thumbnail is going to be MJF because that was
The
obviously the
most interesting thing, I
most
guess.
interesting, most talked about, most. I guess in a lot of ways it was very newsworthy in terms of like storyline development. It took things in a different, well, in a path that you and I didn't really expect, but
Yeah, we didn't,
also
but I also didn't
better.
anyway.
I
Yeah.
thought it was a better path, but we don't have to start there. We can start just for the sake of argument. Let's actually try and remember what happened on Raw.
I
I'm
hope you
gonna.
have notes. I know Dexter Loomis got a contract, right? That happened this week. That wasn't last
Well,
week.
that's the thing. I'm trying to remember. Was that this week or last week? Because doing the show at 10 a.m. on a Sunday is proving very difficult for both of us in terms of our own mental capacity.
Yeah, I don't know
Yes,
if this
Miz
is
and Loomis
sustainable.
was this week.
Okay, good. I remembered that one thing. Uh,
Okay, so we had the Becky Lynch entrance, and she runs through the crowd. Okay, that was good. Let's
yeah,
talk about Becky Lynch going through the crowd. I loved it. I thought she absolutely handled Mr. Drunk Zachary perfectly, and
yeah.
everybody loves Bobby. So,
Bobby.
what do you think? What do you think of Becky Lynch's first like full promo back after getting beat down and sent away for a couple of months?
Feels like the man. Like, it's they've reset her. They got the only thing that I'm getting kind of confused about is she's still doing the like Sethish ring gear. And I was like, does that jive with the man character? I don't know about that. I think that's just
I
what
think
happened.
it's
But
I think it's a slow transition. I think
yeah,
what they're trying to do. So when she came back, Michael Cole was like, "It's big time Bex," but she had the man graphic behind her.
which is fine. They can do that. You can keep the big time Bex moniker and throw it out as one of the 30 nicknames every prolific wrestler eventually acquires. But like,
It feels to me like she will eventually just become the man again.
Yeah.
Like even what she was wearing, like she was wearing just basic black, wearing a leather jacket.
Her
Like
promo attire shifted right back, but what I'm
yeah,
saying, like, the in-ring still like, she had that during War Games, she had that, like, big shoulder business.
yeah, and I think that's maybe her starting to cast off
Yeah, yeah.
the big time Bex persona, and this was like this that slow transition back. I would have liked to have been a little bit longer. I would have loved to have seen her like get called out for being big time Bex by, but again now it's because it's Ronda Rousey that she's probably going to face at Mania. I don't trust Ronda Rousey to be the person to be like I want the man. It
Yeah,
would probably be like I want the man.
we don't need Ronda Rousey addressing someone's big-headed ego. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. So instead, she comes up to the crowd. She's talking to Bob. She's not talking to Zach, and I can't really blame her because
Yeah,
Zach had
no.
probably had a few drinks before the show or during the show and at the show.
He has a
Uh,
flask in his pocket. Yeah, yeah, it's not that hard. You shove it down your crotch while on your way in, you
that's
know?
right. And then Bailey comes out, and they started Damage Control versus Becky, and it was. I mean, listen, the merch battle. What do you think? That's a pretty.
Oh, yeah, yeah, no, that was fire. I really love
Yeah,
that.
it's
That
fun.
was actually an awesome way to kick off Raw. You know what? Raw might have been the best show this week, in my opinion. Like, largely just because the opening was really hot. Like,
Yeah, they did a really good job with that. The merch brawls are always hit or miss for me,
yeah,
but
this
I
one
don't
felt
know.
good.
This one felt all right. It feels weird that the like security's already got the crowd like backed off, and they're just like, ah, we know something's happening, so maybe just get out of the
They all just
way.
linger, like, "Ah,
Yeah,
ah, oh, there they
they might
are!"
see someone.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Uh,
It's
but
funny how, like, not great pro wrestling is at managing an arena for a TV show. Like, they've just never learned. I don't get it.
yeah, and I mean they just yeah they figure out little things, but not the whole thing.
Well, it's like, again, like, for whatever reason, wrestling just can't, like, they really love the traveling circus thing, which is
Oh
fine.
yeah,
Like, it's a big chunk of their money. But also, like, it is a TV show, and, like, you should, like, it's just funny to me to watch something like that because it happens all the time that they still wanna make this arena thing an arena, but they also, like, they'll let the TV show get hurt because of it, and that seems silly to me because the TV show is more money. Most people who view this product view it 95% of the time on television, not at the live events. You'll go to a live event a couple times a year type thing. But
yeah,
like it's just weird to me. I saw someone like who usually I like has good takes, like was talking about not like the size of the entrance ramp and like it eating up a huge number of like awesome tickets. And I was like, because it's a TV show, like
yeah. It's supposed to.
like I do not like they were talking about UFC, comparing it to UFC, and I was like, because UFC is a real sport, minus some of the fixed fights that just came out this week. But whatever, he was a nobody. Minus, and Brandon Moreno's
Or
fights are fixed.
or
But
was he?
yeah, we'll see. But like complaining about the size of the entrance ramp, I was like, no, like I watch it mostly on TV. I don't care that they don't sell those tickets. They don't care that they don't sell those tickets because TV is and should be more important. Like it just is. Like most of the
Yeah.
time when I'm consuming this content, it's on TV. So like I would just like them to care more about that and like maybe set up just like a phony backstage fight or something. Cause like I don't care if actual fans are there to see it. That doesn't, if anything, it takes away from the immersion because they have all these fans who are just there gawking like a bunch of schmucks. Like,
Also, like WWE has, or at least companies have scaled down their entrance sets. Just going back to that thought,
I know, and
they
I actually dislike it. It was Brennan Thurston, Caden's pointing out in the chat, which is
yeah, our
exactly,
buddy
yeah.
from WrestleNomics, and
Who's great. Like I love him and his
I,
takes. It's just like as an economics thing, that's also confusing to me because it's like, yeah, if you really want to maximize profits for everything, but you'll make the TV show suffer, which will lose you much more money in the long run. So
yeah, and I mean, I'm wondering maybe Brandon's coming from an ideas perspective and just
yeah,
ways that WWE can make a little bit more money on their product, which I understand, and like
for sure.
to a certain degree, I agree with it because at least he has ideas that aren't just dog shit,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big
and
time.
something like that. Like I think his idea could even be like you take in the ramp like one or two chairs on each side where like you can add 1 or 2 chairs. You can add substantial amounts of money by
That
making
actually, and like
the ramp a little bit
a
bigger,
narrow ramp, I
smaller.
wouldn't mind. I like the
Yes,
stage, like the stage and the big Titantron stuff. That stuff I really like, and the pyro, which you need clearance for as well, right?
for sure.
But a narrow ramp on the way in would actually add quite a bit more to it. Could you would see more faces and their excitement as they're like close to the person entering. Like that,
And
I think would be cool.
and also like just I'm not throwing Brandon under the bus, but like he talks about how he doesn't go to live wrestling shows all that often, like especially live TV. So you and I have gone a couple of times now to go see live TV tapings, and Raw and just WWE specifically, their entrance ramp is actually not that long. It looks
No,
longer
it's
on TV. But
stumpy.
like,
Like it's
yeah,
very stumpy. I prefer like the pay-per-views where they have the like sort of extra long ramp and it feels like special, like with the
when they're doing
manias
the
with the big.
stadiums,
Yeah,
yeah.
minus when the mine like there's a sweet spot. Like they have to be able to run down it because when you throw Biggie on a golf cart, it makes me sad. Like
Get ready for the Rumble this year, baby. We're
yeah.
back. But yeah, so like if that's what Brandon's getting at, and the idea is that you do make a more narrow ramp, but you keep the same size, then absolutely, like it works. You've only got about 10 to 14 rows of seating that goes along the rampway, so you can easily just take it in a little bit, added 1 or 2 seats. You can make a good amount of money at your gate, and he's right.
Yeah.
At the same time, like, but if he's saying like scale down your Titantron and have people sitting around the back. You can't do that because Tim, like you said, there's pyro involved, and they're not getting rid of that
Yeah,
pyro,
there's
and there's
just no way
clearance.
to yeah, like you either have like you sell those seats or you don't have pyro or sorry, I'm getting my words jumbled up here, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
you need to leave that space clear for and me and you sat behind the Titantron and it was fine. Like it wasn't
yeah,
we didn't see the Titantron at all. I didn't feel like I lost like anything because they had some screens around and stuff. But
yeah.
like just looking at the immense amount of equipment back there, largely in service of managing the pyro. Like there's no way they can really make that stage smaller than it is. Like it is the size it is now to manage their backstage area
I'll
because
give you
it's a big chunk of it. Like
another good example on the AEW side. Myself and our friend Jim went to Grand Slam, not this year, but last year. And our tickets were basically similar to where you and I sat for
mm,
Raw, which was just behind the entranceway. Still had the pyro, still everything. Their pyro was kind of more up front, whereas
yeah,
WWE's is along the perimeter of Titantron, and the concussion bombs are behind it. But AEW was doing pyro all around the set because they had the short, stubby set because people were sitting behind the set, but they were like up in the higher
yeah, and then
levels.
like looking up over it type thing.
Yeah, so it
Yeah,
really depends where you are and where you're sitting, and like how much clearance you have to do things like pyro and stuff like that. So again, it's a very interesting conversation for Brandon. I'm sure he's going to get into it maybe even today on WrestleNomics. But like for me, the way that you and I seem to see it is like possible, but you can't. It's not feasible in the way of like cutting down the ramp completely.
yeah. Like I think it's TV show first every time, like as it should be, because again, you also have a global audience at this point. So like TV show first, everything else secondary. Like the live show is one night. You can do cool bits. It's just like fans also can suck really hard. Like you got to be
That's
careful
true.
of the Zacharies out there and like the gropey scum everywhere. So like just it's more trouble than it's worth half the time because unfortunately people aren't that great in large groups.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, compared to like 15, 20 years ago, you wouldn't see that promo on TV from a woman. You
No,
wouldn't have a woman going out to the crowd because the men would be very questionable. You know what I mean?
still are. They just might get
More so,
there's
they
at
get
least more.
grabby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway.
let's move on.
Yeah.
We're talking about Raw. So one thing that we liked about Raw, I think, was also that they did commercial-free first hour,
Mm,
and things kind of flowed better that way. They tried the Mia Yim match, and then that flowed into it was Mia Yim and Rhea Ripley, and then it flowed into OC versus Judgment Day because OC was just like, no, we've had enough. AJ was like, forget this, I'm done. I want to end this today. And I like that they just kind of transitioned smoothly into that match, and it was a good match altogether.
It was like it felt really, really strong. It still that felt like a Vince thing the way they've done that because they've done that in the past. But this one worked okay for me. I didn't mind that they ruined the finish of like what was a very solid match, because it flowed into another very solid match. Like the wrestling was very strong for all of this. You got Mia slamming Finn too, which is just good times. So
Yeah.
and like Rhea's on fire. Like she has to like title at Mania. That's where we're talking here. Like
I'm not there, man. I think she's got the title match at the Rumble. I think it's Rhea
really.
and Bianca at the Rumble. And I
Well,
think
okay, here's the thing.
Rhea.
Take it from Bianca and retain at Mania then. Like I think she's
No,
just
I
I
wouldn't
think
even do
Rhea's a
that.
good yeah. No.
I don't. I think Rhea will get it eventually, but I don't think it's going to be the Mania. I think Rhea has a Legends match. I think she's got Beth
That could
Phoenix
yeah,
and
yeah.
possibly
You're right.
Edge and Beth versus Finn and Edge.
Yeah, that's pretty high profile. So
I would like that, or however they want to do it. I don't want to see like a whole Judgment Day versus Edge, Beth, and Friends, or the OC with Edge and Beth. I would like to see it be
yeah, just the two on
just a
two.
straight up 2-on-2 mixed tag. But we'll see what they do. I have a feeling, as hot as Rhea is, they're definitely wanting to strap the rocket to her, but I don't think it's going to happen until after
I know
Mania.
it just gets so messy when they like introduce this stuff and then everyone takes a break for a couple months and then they come back because
Yeah.
they're aged. Like
And,
it's a shame. Like yeah, Beth and Edge aren't active like full timers, so like it's hard to.
and like I said this on other shows, and I said this on Twitter. It feels like the way we're going with the women is we are going to do Bianca versus Charlotte at Mania. I assume Charlotte's going to win number one contendership by doing Elimination Chamber. I assume that Becky's going to win the Rumble because she had said at the press conference after Survivor Series that she's never won the Rumble before twice. So
Yeah,
she wants to be the
yeah.
first woman to win the Royal Rumble twice. And then Bianca was asked the same question, like, what's left? And she's like, I want to beat all the four horsewomen. The only one left is Charlotte. So they both kind of foreshadowed everything that they had planned. It feels like Becky winning the
It's
Rumble, then
true.
she can go back to SmackDown and make it a whole program with Ronda Rousey. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it going.
Which is fine. Like I don't mind any of that, and I don't think there's an urgency with Rhea. I think she's going to stay a star for a long time. So I think it's yeah. We don't need to rush there.
I don't think so either. And I like the idea that we don't need to rush there. As
Yeah,
long as they can keep both women hot, and they're doing a really good job right now. Like I know there's some people who are kind of over the idea of Bianca as champion in
I
some
think
forms.
she's
I
still
get it.
doing good. Like I don't think there's any real like qualms there.
She is. I think there was a whole thing about her doing the beating damage control single handedly in the ladder match. Essentially, that turned people off. But that's one time.
Eh,
It's one beat.
I
But
don't know, man. Damage control are a bunch of punks. We've learned this. They're all
yes, they
punks.
think they're better than they are, and I continue to
Exactly.
watch damage control
Yeah,
from that angle
it's
that
the
you mentioned.
easiest way to stomach it all.
It is, and you know, to a certain degree, it makes sense. They did it again on
Yeah.
SmackDown, where they just came out and they're like, "We lasted 90 plus minutes," and like that's their new gimmick. They're going to talk about how long they lasted of War Games.
And
I
Caden,
thought it
yeah,
was
I agree with the like. I very much prefer the long Mania build. I just wish that Edge and Beth were like younger and like in there. I don't like part timers. I've said this 100 times, and like I love Edge and I want him to get his last run in, but it's just like it gets diminished when they're not around for that build because it's not really a 6 or 7 month build at that point. It's like a 4 week build spread out over 6 or 7 months. So
yeah.
again, I'll just always say like this is in sports, you don't have like older guys coming in and doing a little like run around the field now and again. You focus on the people, in their moment. So it just feels like it's taking away spots from other people.
I see Scott in the chat saying that he wants a Bailey versus Becky solo package or solo program. I honestly think that most of December is going to be that,
Yeah, probably.
leading to a big Bailey Becky match. Um, that's the best way to at least tell their story right now. I think again, having 8 weeks until the Rumble or however long it is like,
Is that how long it is? No wonder this week was weird.
yeah, the Rumble is at the end of January and we are December 4th as
I
of
just
today.
remember seeing like it was like I think it was Meg Morant on SmackDown was just like the Rumble's just around the corner, and I was like, is it? Oh.
Yeah, the corner is about 78 miles down the
A
road.
big corner. It's 2 times around the NASCAR track, if you ask me. That's
That's
how that
right.
feels.
And the main event was Kevin Owens versus Jey Uso on Raw. It was actually pretty good. Again,
Yeah.
good match. They had that hot opener on Raw to set up the story. I again said this in other places. It really does feel like it'll be KO versus Roman at the Rumble now. I know I said Sammy forever. I'm starting to change my tune just because it feels like Sammy will be in the Elimination Chamber match. But it really does feel like KO, because we have 8 weeks again, is going to run the gamut, have to beat all the members of the Bloodline to get to the final boss at the Rumble, have the match at the Rumble, get beat down so badly afterwards by the Bloodline that Sammy feels super conflicted and super
Yeah.
like, hey, that's not
Goes
cool.
too far.
Yeah,
He's
he's like,
with the
that's too
gang and
much.
they go too far. It feels like
That's it.
like a after school special, like a movie I saw in the 90s, like that type of thing.
Yeah, so I feel like they'll just stomp him out after he's like, Roman, that was too far, and that'll be that. Caden's asking if I'm going to
Are the
Montreal for the
Usos allowed
elimination
in
chamber.
Canada now? Half of them, I think.
No, so we half of them can be.
Yeah.
One of them is still again in Canada. If you get a DUI in the states,
Or a
you are,
few.
or a few, regardless, just one, and like
Yeah.
you're not allowed back in until a lot of things are taken care of. But I'm trying to remember. Didn't Jimmy and Jay show up in Edmonton on that episode of Raw?
I think it was just Jay.
It was just Jay.
I'm
I
pretty
gotta go
sure it
back,
was
but
just Jay. Because
I remember
yeah, I
looking it
don't.
up for someone because someone was asking like, can they come back ever? Our friend Justine in Australia was like, can they come back to Canada ever? And the short answer is yes, but it's a
It's
very
like a
long
pardon.
process. There is a whole process to getting back, but as it is
Yeah.
right now, Jimmy is still exempt from international travel. Will I go to Montreal for the Elimination Chamber? If Jimmy and Sean want to send me there, I'll go. But otherwise, Montreal
That's
is about it's not a long flight, but it's about a 6-hour train ride.
I will tell you, the last time I flew to Montreal in February, my flight got canceled for the return, and I
That's
was scrambling trying to find a train back. Ended up getting a flight like a couple days later. So it's
Yeah, that's
fun.
the other problem. Is February in Canada, especially around Montreal, it's treacherous.
There's a
It
lot of
is not
snow. It
comfortable.
gets pretty, yeah.
Yeah, it gets very uncomfortable. So KO and Jay had their match. KO won. It was again good match. I enjoyed it, and that was Raw because
I did,
all
and I
intents and
did
purposes
watch
it was
Raw
Raw.
100% now. I definitely did. It was the best show of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like Sammy and Roman, I think Sean had mentioned this, and I agreed. Sammy and Roman could be a match on Fox, like on SmackDown, that would pop a number because we're not in a world anymore where the pay-per-views matter as much for selling, right? You got your Peacock, you already pay your $5-10 a month, whatever it is. So it's not it's a big event, but it's not as big event as like getting a big rating for SmackDown. And if Sammy is drawing good ratings for SmackDown and Roman is already a proven draw on SmackDown, why not have it on a big Friday night match?
Because the prestige.
Of course, but it's still a world title match. You can still have a
Yeah,
lot of you
no.
give it the last hour and you could try something.
It just feels like, yeah, of course this happens to Sammy. Like, I don't know.
I get it. I would much prefer Sammy have the world title match at the Elimination Chamber at home to really build that drama.
Yeah.
I still wanted him to have it at the Rumble because the Rumble match is always like the world title match where like the story is great, but the finish is never in doubt. Right,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
champion
Yeah.
almost always retains unless you know that they're moving towards something totally different for Mania.
When did KO and Roman do their last man?
That was the Rumble
It was Royal Rumble.
2021.
Okay. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, that's very funny, very circular.
yeah, so that was the Rumble, the last Rumble in the Thunderdome, and Paul Heyman couldn't get the keys out. Remember?
Yeah, it was great.
That was a good time. The Chamber has been a title match lately, but it doesn't always have to be that way. You can always do a number one contendership, but because you have two titles now, you kind of have the Royal Rumble winner being that guy.
Hmm.
Yeah, being like the Royal Rumble winner being the guy who has to defend in there.
Hmm.
Um, Can you vamp for like 5 minutes?
5 entire minutes?
Not even.
Okay, yeah, if that's an
Here,
estimate. Yeah, all
talk
right.
to this broom wearing headphones.
Is that what that is? It's a match in a
Oh,
broom wearing headphones. A very large paper match, I guess.
just talk to the chat and I will be right back.
All right, chat. What's up? This is foreign to me. Joel is the leader in case you haven't noticed. I show up and I watch some wrestling. Watched 3 wrestlings this week. I watched Raw, I watched SmackDown, watched Dynamite. Going to the next 3 Dynamites, Caden. My God, that's wow. See, now I'm jealous. I still have yet to get to an AEW show because they came here and they ran a tiny venue and it was too much money and I wasn't going to pay that much. It's just not that much I'm going to pay. Who the OC and Judgment Day could move on to? That's a great question because I have no idea. We're seeing some like interesting feud transitions lately, which I'm like really loving, at least in WWE. We're seeing just quick things like the Rey Mysterio card on SmackDown we'll get to later. I thought the setup for Bray and LA Knight was pretty good. So like we'll see. We're doing Liv and Damage Control and Liv and a few other people, it looks like. So like they're doing a good job. I'm not sure how we're going to move the OC onto something else. Talk about MJF Regal. No, we have not seen your nerd. We're going to get there. We haven't talked about Dynamite yet, which is there's lots of stuff to talk about. So we will get to that soon. Joel is off running some covert operation. I don't know. He just disappeared. Oh, I know Joel's blacked out. Joel's not there. I'm vamping. He's making me talk like a fool. I never got to the point of who to see OC and Judgment Day. Joel, who are the OC and Judgment Day fighting next? That's kind of a question that I picked up on and we have not answered because I have no idea.
Damage Control. No, I don't know. Actually, that's a good idea. It's a good question. I don't know who they could reasonably feud with.
It's tough because now they've built out 2 4-person groups specifically. Like
you could do Legado del Fantasma for the OC.
Ooh,
only because
SmackDown.
That's the only. Well, it's a soft brand split. Nothing really matters. I don't know who Judgment Day could actually go after next.
Right, because it's like they just seem like a bunch. They're like these dorky goth kids who think they're edgy, and it's very funny. Like
you could do the Brawling Brutes for maybe the OC, but again, face. So you could do Judgment Day and the Brutes at one point. On the SmackDown Dark match, they did what was it? Damian Priest tagged with Legado del Fantasma to take on Riddle, Elias, and Selena Vega, and there was somebody else. Regardless, like they did a whole so something like that. Maybe
it's good.
Elias and Riddle next for the Judgment Day.
I was praising WWE's like feud transitions as of late, but this one, I don't know that there's going to be a natural one for these ones. Like that's a fair question to bring up. I like the idea Elbow Fire with the Brutes if they need to do this like one woman for every group of men. Again, I would love to see Elektra Lopez back with Legado del Fantasma. You can keep Zelina Vega as well. Like you can have 2 women together, God forbid.
As the Beach Boys said, 2 girls for every guy.
There are 3 men in Legado del Fantasma already.
Whatever. You know what that statement was from the Beach Boys? It meant nothing about wrestling. You want to talk about AEW? You want to talk about Dynamite? You want to get into the real
let's go to Dynamite.
Stuff?
We'll finish off with SmackDown, I think, because I can rush through SmackDown. I can tell you that much.
Actually, by the way, I like this idea of adding Alba Fire to the Brutes and just completely unintelligible group of people behind the microphone.
Just like bang after like mushmouth gibberish. One of them has a baseball bat. Like there you go.
If you think you can't understand when the Japanese wrestlers speak, buddy, what happens when you get the Irish and the Scottish ones behind the mic? There was one week where they did, what was it? It was no one in the ring except for one person was American. And you could tell.
Yeah, it was the Judgment Day was there. Like it was Finn.
It was Judgment Day and the Brawling Brutes going into Raw, and the only Americans were like Damian Priest and Dominic.
Who like Damian Priest has like a weird accent too. Like
it was so funny. You got Damian Priest just like I will destroy you, and then everyone.
Razor Ramon, but different.
Oh God, it was so good. All right, Dynamite. Let's talk about it. Where do you want to start? There was quite a bit to do. Do you want to talk about Bryan versus Dax? I mean, that was just a really solid match.
Great match. Why did it happen? I missed entirely why they were wrestling at all.
I kind of did too. It felt like Dax at one point was just like, "Who do you want to see me wrestle?" And everyone was like, "Bryan Danielson." He's like, "I'll run it up the chain." And 1 week later, Tony Khan was like, "Let's do that."
Seems pretty stupid to do 1 week before your title match, but whatever.
It does seem foolish to do. You know what? In a kayfabe sense, it really does, and that would
Because there's no
traditionally,
anyway, there did stories out the window. Like, yeah, it was a great match. There was no reason to do it. Like,
yeah. And again, like I get that for some, it's just great to see two of your favorite wrestlers or teams, whatever, go ahead, like and have a match, and the match is good or it's not, whatever.
you know
But
what's
like most
better?
of the
To
time, it's
build
good.
up anticipation and have it have a story so there's like layers of excitement and interest rather than just here you go.
I agree, and I fully agree. It's kind of what they're doing, and like I see sports and things being like it sets up Brian for MJF. Like it does, but it doesn't because the MJF thing came up later. Like you
Yeah.
can give a bunch of wins, but here's the reality of AEW: they don't care about wins and losses anymore. They don't see
Yeah,
the
yeah,
standings.
yeah. It really doesn't like it's just a shame because like I feel like you're just throwing away an opportunity. Like you could later on like save that. Expect to still be in business a year down the road, right? Maybe Brian doesn't have a year, who knows? But like it is what it is. Like
Yeah, and then listen, if it's just someone's promotion and he wants to like put on good matches, it's
that's
it's
fine. It's
super indie. It's a very super indie approach. Like
exactly like it's
how many times have we gone to like Greektown and been like, oh shit, this match is going to be great, but then it'll be like there's no standing, there's no story,
no because
but some
it's a traveling
it's a good match. Yeah, exactly.
like,
So
which is fine. It's great for the live shows, and like, Kane mentions he's going the next like 3 Dynamites, and then whatever the pay-per-view is.
Revolution,
No, it's not the Revolution. It's something else. Anyway, he's going to a bunch of stuff.
Well,
Final
Revolution
Battle,
is
sorry,
in
Ring of
March.
Honor. He's Ring of
Oh, you're
Honor.
going to Ring of Honor. That's
Which
next
is
week.
like
That's next week.
awesome, and like you're probably get some really excellent matches just on random Dynamites, just because he does that, and that's great for the live show. It's just like me as a TV viewer is less invested. Like,
By the way, I'm going to give AEW full marks because one thing that they did with Final Battle Build, and I mentioned this on Twitter, every match except for the pure title was announced or really heavily built on Rampage. I get that Rampage is not like your number one show, but a lot of people lately have been complaining about how the Ring of Honor stories had kind of taken over Dynamite. I don't mind that Tony is like, I'm going to shift things over to Rampage. I know that like only half of you watch it, but let's face it, like Ring of Honor is basically half of you guys anyway in terms of viewership. So that works. If the hardcores are watching Rampage, then the hardcores are definitely watching Ring of Honor, and
yeah,
it works for me. It was
totally.
good. Okay, so that was Dax and Brian. I mean, I think we both agree, just a fun match with like no reason, just a super
Yeah,
indie showcase. That's
it is
fine.
what it is. It's fine. Like again, it's a slow week for everyone. They weren't Dynamite. Like AEW was not alone in booking a pretty thin week.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, so let's really hop into it. The show really opened with MJF coming, or not MJF, with Moxley coming out, and Mox coming out and just talking the shit, and then out comes Hangman Adam Page, and that's a good surprise for the crowd. Everyone was like, "Is he cleared? Is he cleared?" And he throws the first punch. The brawl was really good.
yeah,
I like that they're setting up the story. I like that they're kind of diverting both men from the world title, and they're having them fight and catch up on what they lost when Hangman got hurt. There's just a built-in story there, and
I
Mox
love it. I have
never,
no problem. Yeah.
yeah, Mox never talked shit about Hangman getting hurt, but like there is now a chance for both men to do it, and I
Just
like it.
that quick, like, oh, do you remember what happened? Like,
That
that's
was enough. Yeah, that would turn
it.
anyone on a dime.
Like I
It
said, you
was
just
good.
got to do a little bit, just a little bit. It's all it is. This is really good. I'm looking forward to where this goes. Like this was a good kickoff and a great transition for Mox away from the world title business. Same with
Do
Hangman
you
for that.
see? Do you see this becoming a number one contenders match like at Revolution?
I hope not. No, I would like to see some new people up top, and I think they're starting to do that.
Mhm.
Um, MJF's promo kind of solidified that as well. Not, he won the thing, so but it is what it is.
So, where do you want to start with that? Do you want to get into the MJF promo?
Yeah, because long as hell.
So it was, and definitely I said, this promo could have been an email,
Yeah.
but there were moments where I was like, come on, let's go with it. But I really liked it. There were a
It
lot of things that I really
I
enjoyed, and
liked
there
the
were a lot
core
of things that
beats.
worked.
It went on a little long for me, but like the core of it, he had a lot to do, and you can't go from point to point to point. So it's like I don't know that it could have been shorter. It just was long because they were trying, because he wasn't there last week. They had to advance things faster this week. So
And I'm going to call this up actually to Super on Twitch. By the way, go to twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming. We're live. Championship Shine, Championship Time. And it's true. If you're the world
fair.
champion, you
Totally fair.
will have traditionally a, up to 15, 20-minute promo, and you got to carry that time.
Yeah.
This was Max's first real opportunity to have and carry a big time championship promo.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't perfect. There are a lot of things he's going to have to work on. But one thing he didn't do, which I appreciate, is he didn't yell and scream every 5 seconds. He did.
Yeah.
He had good control of the crowd. He very much was like heel MJF, who knew where he was going with his promo and knew what he wanted to reference and what he wanted to hit on the way in and on the way out, and physically who he wanted to hit on the way out, but also what beats he wanted to hit
Yeah. No,
on the way
yeah.
in. And I appreciated that. They will get better with time because this is his first, like I said, his first foray into long soliloquies. So I'm appreciating that he's getting the opportunity. Yeah. So Regal at the end of this whole thing gets laid out, cards on the table. What did you think of the brass knuckle spot? What do you think of the stretcher job? Have you been reading the Regal news?
Yes, I've been reading the news, which diminished all of it, sadly, to me.
Well, what's wild is just how many times certain members of the media like had to backtrack and reassess and be like, it was this, and then it was this, and then it was like, oh, it's this long. Oh no, the contract's this long. Oh no, and then yeah, it was.
Oh, it's
If you,
over this month. Like, what?
yeah, and then all of a sudden it was like Sean reported that Talent is under the impression that it was over in December. There you go. Anyway,
It's a
what do you think?
shame. Yeah. So that one, okay. Knuckles job, fine, good. Fine with this. Like,
It was a good callback. Honestly,
yeah.
it was a good callback because it all went back to when Regal was like, "You don't have the guts to hit me with this from behind."
Yeah.
And
So
then after being used, guess what happens? Guess what the devil does?
yeah. And I don't mind that so much because at least it adds some sort of through thread with the firm business, where MJF is just like churn and burning people. Like, he really just wants to be on his own. So I don't mind that they're not stretching this stuff out. I think the Regal thing was, I didn't really expect it to go down that way. So happy for a little bit of a whoop. Bye, Regal. I guess this is the nature of being the second wealthiest, I guess. It's just awkward. It's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so it feels like
Blackpool
Regal's
Combat Club dead. Like,
they were dead when Mox lost that title, and
I
then
know it's such a mess because it's just like, okay, did this even need to exist at all? Like, I don't like the ultimate story of the Blackpool Combat Club is that it wasn't very good. Like, in my
yeah,
opinion.
that they had a brief moment where everyone but Brian held a championship, and then they all lost their championships.
Yuta was there.
You don't want a championship.
He sure did, but they're up and down. Goodbye.
I know, and the original plan for the Blackpool Combat Club was really that they were going to take those younger members that Brian had mentioned in that promo with Mox and start setting them up for success. The idea being that Mox and Danielson were going to team and impart wisdom and train and do all the things that get them higher on the totem pole. And then everything just kind of fell apart with. I think the Punk stuff really messed things up immensely
As
with
always.
with what they wanted to do, and like they couldn't get to where they wanted to go as long as there was an issue with Punk and the rest of the locker room, and Punk only wanted to work Mox.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, I think it did elevate Yuta quite a bit, which is good in the
in
end.
certain ways, it did, yeah. And also the matches with Danny Garcia are obviously doing wonders for him when he gets the chance to shine.
Yeah.
So the promo itself with MJF, again, I really enjoy it because we changed up the delivery. We found a way to get that heat back because remember when he came back, he was getting cheered way too much, and everyone was saying, oh, he's a face, he's a face. Well, no, he's not. People just really wanted to cheer the guy who got his money. That's really and
A
he
lot
was
of
probably
Joker stands in the audience, as I've mentioned before.
yeah. So he may be over with the live crowd, and that's fine. But what I said is what they did. They transferred the heat to Regal, and then by the end of it, all the heat got back on MJF because everybody loves Regal at the end of the day. So what do? You take out the guy everybody loves, you have no remorse, and your heat is back.
Yeah. And he addressed the fans specifically. He's like, a lot of you were cheering for me. You dumb. Like,
Yeah,
it was good. So like he did a good job of still like he's just gonna constantly kind of crap on people. The Burberry title. What
I
do
was
you
gonna
come on?
ask.
What no. It's a cliche at this point. Like it doesn't add anything, in my opinion,
So
to this.
it was kind of supposed to be that way.
Okay.
So remember all the shade that he was throwing at Bryan Danielson, right? Daniel Bryan did
That's
the
fair.
he did the Planet's Champion, the hemp belt, and
Oh,
he
I
was saying
remember.
people are fickle. It was a big throwback to that, right? Everyone in the chat's probably about to talk about that here, and that's what we were doing. It was the idea that I see that super chat too. It was the idea that Bryan Danielson is the next on the list for
But
MJF.
Ricky Starks is the next on the list. Anyway.
Yes, Ricky Starks is the next on the list. I think Starks is going to win the Dynamite Diamond Ring after he loses the world title match.
Yeah. All right. That's fair.
It's a silly thing
I
to
am
do it that way, but I hear
tired
what
of
they're doing.
Daniel Bryan.
How can you be tired of him? The man loves to talk about hogs in the locker room.
It seems like the same match every time.
That's fair. Listen, to each their own. Not everyone's going to love every
Not
wrestler every
doing it
match.
for me. I don't know.
That's fine. Well, you know what's doing it for Caden? He still thinks that Excalibur and Regal need to.
They should. That's fair. I forgot about like again because I focused on the Ricky Starks setup because that's what I'm interested in. Again, like the people who are like coming up into their prime. So like I am more interested in Ricky Starks versus MJF than I am about Daniel Bryan versus MJF. Like
Right.
way more. Like so.
So the title itself, the Burberry title. I mean, I liked it. I got the right heat, but the problem is the design, the leather strap that they got. It's very dark.
It doesn't show through very well. Like it's a faint
No,
ass title. Like
it needs to be. It needed to be a lot brighter, and maybe they'll fix it because maybe they thought like it would show up on TV that way, but then it didn't.
yeah, very true.
Yeah, but we'll see what they do. I like it. I like where it's going. This is probably the best. The best the way the story has run with MJF since he came back, and I'm appreciative of that.
Yeah,
after we spent so many weeks being like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was chaos. This is it feels like we're re-cemented now. We can actually move forward. He's got 2 challengers built in. I think that's good. I think that like it's a good setup. And as much as I was saying, like I'm not super duper excited for Daniel Bryan. I'm fine to watch Daniel Bryan lose to MJF.
By the way, in his opening comments, Moxley was like death taxes, and John Moxley is pissed off, whatever. But really, like
Speaking
it's
cliches,
death taxes, and Ty Mello and Sammy Guevara have sex. That's really that is the 3 things in life that you have to remember. It was what else was going on the championship, this championship edition of Dynamite. AR Fox and Mimosa Joe had a match. I have nothing to say about that.
Samosa Joe wins.
Wardlow challenged Mimosa Joe, Ragosa Joe, Samosa Joe.
Gimme. He's all like, "Give me that." And I was like, "Okay."
Starks and Daivari, sure, whatever. What do you think of Willow Nightingale and Anna JAS?
Good
and
match,
the return
actually.
of Ruby Soho.
Okay, so I think it's good to start showcasing Willow more so that you can continue to build people. So that's nice. It's good to see them building women talent on the show. People who aren't title holders, people who aren't Britt Baker. Good to see. Very much enjoyed that. There were 3 women's segments this week, I believe.
Yes, they did that. They did the Jade segment, and I mean,
Britt and Jamie backstage.
Yeah, Britt and Jamie backstage to
Sorry, Jamie and Britt.
Tony next week. Well, it's Britt and Jamie if you ask Britt.
Oh man.
Mimosa Joe versus Juice Robinson was announced for Final Battle for the ROH Television Championship. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not. Don't know what to expect. Maybe Wardlow's going to get involved and cost Mimosa Joe the match, and
seems correct.
Be a new ROH Television champion.
That seems like exactly what's going to happen. So that's fine.
TK's like, I want Bullet Club circa 2016 in my Ring of Honor. It's like, okay, I get it. That's
That's
cool.
fine. Makes sense, I
Sell
guess.
a lot of hoodies. Ruby Soho's back, beat up Ty Mello. What do you think? Was it big enough for you, the return?
Yes, it was
Okay.
appropriate to her stature. I just, it was an appropriate return for, like, I forgot she was gone. It was a broken nose. Yeah.
Yeah, she had her nose busted by Mello during the remember the match where where
Her,
the Appreciation Society were in the cage?
yep, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, something had happened there. That
So,
she
like,
got her nose
that's
busted up.
fine. I mean, it's a broken nose. She wasn't gone for a year. Like, it's an appropriate scale return for the situation, and that's a good feud. Love to see that. And there's no title on the line. Again, AEW is improving its women's division, and it's good to see.
Yeah, there are little incremental changes that are making it worthwhile again to be a part of that women's division. As long as they continue to make the stories balance out and not just feel like it's the Britt Baker show and everybody
Yep.
else is doing their thing, that's fine. Uh, really, what people came to hear us talk about is Jade Cargill and Lil Bow Wow. Because if there's one thing that two white bearded men are going to talk well about, it is two black talent with crossover appeal getting involved in the story together.
I feel like, is Lil Bow Wow even popular?
No, not at all.
I feel like it's like middle-aged white people who like Lil Bow Wow.
Well, one of them happens to own a wrestling company.
Wait,
I know.
what?
Bow Wow.
Bow Wow
No,
owns
no,
a wrestling.
no, Tony Khan.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
don't one middle-aged ass Bow Wow. Very funny. He's all about that money, apparently.
He is. He's all about that
Get in
Monet.
line, because it's
Do
literally every. Oh,
you
that
think
was
you think it's Mercedes Vernado coming back? You think it's Sasha Banks? I said, Tim,
no,
Tim,
no.
Tim. I poked the bear. I muted the tweet. Holy
Why did you
shit!
do this?
I poked the bear. I was curious. I was curious. I said, Bow Wow has a relationship with Snoop. Snoop found Bow Wow. Snoop
Does
has a
he?
cousin who wrestles. Yeah.
I feel like Snoop Dogg, the guy who shows up literally everywhere and is friends with everyone, is probably like finds Bow Wow to be an annoying hanger-on. That's
Well,
all I.
so when he found Bow Wow was like 13, 14. And he was Lil Bow Wow, right? Bow
Weird.
Wow, Snoop Dogg. Anyway, found a
Yeah.
Bow Wow. He gave him a platform. Again, I just said like, Snoop has a cousin who wrestles. Jade needs an opponent. Bow Wow and Jade are having a feud, and I just put it out there just to mess with people,
You
buddy.
fool.
I got so many weirdos saying so many. I had muted the tweet the other night. I went back to check on it. I was like, why does this have over 600 likes? Why is there so much engagement on this tweet? I did not look at the impressions. I looked at the quote tweets. I looked at the replies. They were as weird as they could be.
Just
Anyone
insanity.
anyone who said anything personal, immediate block. Anyone who said like that's a dumb take, that's fine with me. I don't
It
give a
is a
shit.
dumb
It is
take.
a dumb take. That's why I said it. That's why I said, and everyone was just like, "Oh, all you Sasha Banks fans are going to be so upset when it turns out that he gets Kiara Hogan." And I'm like, I'm going to love it because that is like the most hilarious thing you could possibly do. Because if you know about like Sasha and Kiara Hogan having beef, this is perfect. This is like the
Awesome.
best callback you can possibly have. I don't care about Jaden Bow Wow. I like that
I
they're trying to do
sure
crossover
don't.
shit.
It's so deep how, like, the well of how little I care. It's near to the core of the earth, because, like, Jade gave a good promo until she was forced to mention Lil Bow Wow. Like,
You can see her face just be like,
and then she's just like,
and Bow Wow.
and Bow Wow.
It was fine. I don't expect much out of it. I was very curious as to how the internet would reply to my Mercedes Vernado tweet.
Well, you did it up. You caused a mess.
The dorks went for it. Someone earlier was asking in the chat, what about the Kingdom? What do we see with them? I honestly think they're waiting until Adam Cole is better to bring back the Kingdom and do anything with them. Once they find out Cole is cleared, I think they'll give the Kingdom a couple of weeks on TV to build up their name, and then Cole will be the leader of the group. That's where I see it happening. The
Uh,
Kingdom being Matt Taven and sorry, someone's like, "What the hell is that?"
No, that's fair. They were on TV for like a
For
hot
like 30
2-3 weeks,
seconds.
yeah, and then they're gone. Because this keeps happening, and it just keeps happening. Like, not just AEW, WWE will do it sometimes too, where they'll like
Yes,
feature people for like 2 or 3 weeks and then drop the thread entirely, and like you're just what?
Matt Taven and Mike Bennett with Maria Kanellis. That is the Kingdom. Adam Cole, before he was part of Bullet Club, was was with the Kingdom way back in his
The
day.
lore, my God.
I see Will. Yeah, I heard Will talking about Kingdom versus FTR at Final Battle for the Ring of Honor Championship or the tag championships. Fine with me. Let's do that. FTR needs an opponent. The Kingdom are credible. It's just stupid. I am famous for getting sidetracked by reading the chat. And then the best of seven for Death Triangle and the Elite.
Hold
Did you
on,
care?
hold on. We're skipping a very awkward acclaimed every week segment.
It was not good.
It was very bad. Why did they not mention FTR? Was I just supposed to know that they're second best? Because I literally don't know anything about the rankings anymore. It's all
Because
gibberish. Like,
since April, FTR has been like, we're number one contenders, and everyone's been
oh,
like,
yep. I should know that. I just keep forgetting because I don't care.
Oh, by the way, for anyone asking like what happened to Kyle O'Reilly, well, he's got a lot of time left until he's recouped from injury.
Yeah,
So I
everyone,
wouldn't worry about
the
Kyle O'Reilly.
Undisputed Elite showed up, or Undisputed Era showed up, and then they all got hurt, and it's very disappointing.
It sucks. It's
It
disappointing. And
does. It
Bobby
super
Fish showed
does.
his age, so it all worked out. Bobby Fish is having the most success out of the
He
three of them
did.
right
He
now.
threw on a bunch of bangers while the other two got hurt, and then he left AEW.
No, Bobby Fish proving everyone wrong. Anyway,
He had some great matches on Dynamite. Just saying, like very good.
where is the lie? Yeah, what man, whatever. Do you really want to talk about that acclaimed
We've talked
segment?
to. I guess we're doing FTR. Who's going to win? What is this match? Why is it happening on Dynamite? I guess is FTR going to start dropping all of their belts, or is this just a random one-off?
So every time this happens, it feels like FTR just continues to like have this um they have this thing where like they go out, put all their titles on the line and defend them at the same time, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're going to drop them all so they can pick up the big ones," and then they don't,
Yep.
and we're doing it again. So like FTR currently have the Ring of Honor tag titles. Next week, they're probably going to put them on the line against the Kingdom. They have the AAA tag titles. Don't know when they're defending them next, but they have the lunch tray titles. They have the IWGP tag team titles. They're putting them on the line at Wrestle Kingdom as per reports. We'll see. I think it'd be hilarious if they dropped them to like House of Torture or some shit. Let's just do that. Everyone's favorite New Japan Pro Wrestling talents, or they drop them to like Show and Yo randomly. I don't know, but yeah, do that. Regardless of where FTR sit, they're racking up titles, and if they walk into Wrestle Kingdom with the AEW tag titles, I don't know, that's pretty cool. There's a Triple Mania like every week, by the way. So
Yeah.
Kate in
Yeah.
the
It
chat
feels
being
like
like, "Where's Triple Mania
yeah.
soon?" I think they're doing Reign Into Reigns anyway in February.
All right. Well, whatever. Like I don't know. I don't mind. Whatever happens, I'll be happy. I like the acclaimed, but they can lose the titles. They'll be fine.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
see.
fine. They will be fine. They got to wrestle with Ricky Steamboat on their tag team. Like they're doing okay.
Yeah, they're
They've
fine.
had Bret Hart walk them out to the ring. Like they're talking about what happens when their contract is done. They're like, we can take some time off and go work the indies because we like that. We'll see.
It does feel weird that like yeah, they were running around this and now they're just like doing it.
Yeah, and they didn't really tell the story of why they've been running around it.
They didn't make a meal out of it. They had all the stuff laid out. They did the mise en place and then they're like, next week. Fuck it.
Pretty much. And like what's annoying is just the idea that like they would go to the shows where they defend their titles and be like, Tony Khan, book us, and everyone's like, ooh, they're calling out TK. And it's like, no, this was planned. But the problem is people that like that's the wrong blending of kayfabe and reality. Because people thought it was real and you couldn't tell them otherwise. Whereas most people like see where the kayfabe is and they're just like, oh, okay, they have a problem with TK not booking them. They want to work more on Dynamite, but then they don't. and that doesn't work for me. But
Mm-mm.
again, FTR are such a good tag team, and they're so over that like it doesn't matter when or where. They just have
Yeah,
to
it
show
really
up
doesn't.
and talk, and that's good enough.
Yep.
Anyway, that's Dynamite. I mean, Elite and yeah, the Elite
Another
and Big Guys
crazy
kind of thing.
match. Very good. Elite finally win one.
Yeah, by the seat of their pants.
Either every match is going to be like 30, 40 minutes, or these next two are going to be very short. We'll see.
Honestly, I just wanted them to have one match that like ends with a very quick roll up or like
At
something
least one.
stupid.
Yeah, that's all I
You got
want. I'm
you
waiting
got to
for
have
it.
a fluke match.
Yeah.
It's funny because I know we don't talk Impact much on this show because you don't necessarily have the time, but maybe you heard about the Eric Young stab to death angle that they did.
It's great. I love how
Uh,
quick they are to murder people. It's so fun.
it's great. That's the Impact way. But my point was the match that led into it was the Mickey James and Deonna Purrazzo match. And up until that point, you know, I was trying to figure out like what's the headline here on tonight's show, and my favorite part was like they gave enough time to Mickey and Deanna to have a great in-ring main event match, and then they went to what the main event was, which was that fight between Diener and Eric Young. And like there's room for something like that in AEW when you have not necessarily like a prison scene main
A
event,
murder.
but not a murder, but like a backstage setup for something after your main event, where like you think you have so much time for this match, and then you realize, oh shit, it ended so quickly. We got to throw something together, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes for the audio listener, all
Yeah.
three of you, and then we're off to the races. Where whatever happens next is bigger than the sudden win. People were asking what was up with Eric Young being shivved. Well, first of all, he's going back to WWE, but also it's the Impact way that if you are a long-standing character and you're not coming back, you're gonna die.
And he's
They're
definitely
gonna.
not coming back. Like this is his probably last like hurrah. Like
So I've said this 100 times, and you were there for the interview, so you can at least back me up on this because you were behind the camera when we spoke to Eric back at the end of June. Granted, Vince McMahon was still in charge of WWE.
yeah.
He told me in an interview that like when I'm done, I'm done. I tried doing the producer thing. I didn't enjoy it. I can't be as creative. I played the audio on the post Impact show, and he was like, once I'm done, I'm done. And it feels like this is his last set coming up in WWE, not as a producer, but as an on-screen talent. And then once he's done, he's done. He's getting the
Yep.
bag one last time, and then he's going to go wear his Nashville Predators jersey in his kitchen, in his house, and he's just going to watch Predators games all year round.
Well, he can try, I guess.
He can try.
Watch the tape.
I'm rewatching the entire
Season.
2014, 2015
Break this
NHL
down.
season.
Yeah. Gonna
I'm
break
going to
this
break it down
down.
for my podcast. We've got a good podcast about the NHL, by the way, so go check that
Plus,
out.
you get to listen to that voice in long form.
Oh, God, what a voice.
That is an ashy voice. It's great.
He's had like a bunch of surgeries about that because he was born with like polyps on his vocal cords.
Hey, he
So he had
chose
to
the
get them
right career.
scraped.
Made the
Yeah, but he's had to get them like scraped. He told Edge and Christian on his podcast like 15 times. You know, it happens like once every few months.
Oh man,
That's
that's rough.
wild. Final thing we got to talk about was from SmackDown. We got to talk about that main event. Ricochet winning the World Cup. Another American wins the World Cup in WWE, as is tradition. Shane McMahon and now Ricochet. What do we think about Ricochet and Gunther? And also, what do we think happens next with our pals in Stantasma?
I don't know.
Well,
I
then
actually don't like any of this.
No?
I think they screwed up with the Braun Gunther thing. It kind of confused things a little bit. And now we have Ricochet. Like, he doesn't seem like a threat. Like, the only credible threat to Gunther seems like Braun. And I'm still thinking about that, even though I don't think they want me to be thinking about that. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
I don't hate it. So let's go both sides.
Yeah.
On the Legado del Fantasma side, they're brand new. I don't want them to be the
Yeah,
group that takes those losses regularly. I want them to start building up those wins. I think Santos Escobar is potentially your next hottest Latino talent. not just because he's an amazing wrestler. He speaks English and Spanish very well, and he's just a really talented wrestler. So I want that. I want more of that.
There was okay, so let's talk about the pre-roll for this though. Like the Legato's little like business is booming, whatever, and it's like how, in what way? Like Zelina, like you talked about them speaking English and Spanish well, or at least I mean, Zelina isn't her first language English? Comically,
Yeah, this
she
is
bungles a
New York.
sentence, and it kind of is like weird. And then they just kind of they have the tag team in the back just saying random one-offs. I don't know. It felt weird. I don't like this. Like we've flourished, and I was like, you've done nothing.
Yeah,
Like,
no, you're
I
right. They're
hate this.
definitely
Just saying something and willing it into existence. Like, no, show me. Like you
yeah.
have to actually earn that statement. Like, what are you? Are you a gang? Like, have you been committing crimes city to city? Like, show me what. How is business booming? You have no championships. You barely get TV time. Like, I don't understand what your business is.
And I agree. And I think that their business should be backing up their leader, and their leader is Santos Escobar.
And that's
There's
fine. Like,
there's so much space there again to work with a guy who's like so talented and so right to be pushed to the moon that it works. On the Ricochet side, so I don't love Santos losing, but it makes sense because
no, it
on the
made sense here.
Ricochet
And
side,
like,
it's going to be a giant ass beatdown from Gunther, and then after he wins, up comes Braun Strowman, Ricochet's new best friend, to build to the Gunther and Braun Strowman story.
yeah, I don't know that we needed to introduce that early though. And like this whole SmackDown Cup thing has felt kind of silly to me because one, it's
Well,
stupid, the
I had
name.
to get it off of Shane McMahon. That's
Two,
all.
it was half Americans. Like it was just, I don't know, didn't do anything for me. Like the whole trip has been weird. The match at least was excellent. The big
Match is
payoff,
great. Those
like
those
very
two have
happy
worked
with that.
together. Those two have worked together before. I put it out on Twitter.
Yeah,
That was like shout out to Lucha Underground in 2015. That was a match they had.
a lot of good
Um,
stuff came out of there. Just saying.
there was a lot of good stuff out of Lucha Underground. Sometimes I miss it, but then sometimes
Yeah,
I think about the latter seasons and I'm like, no, it's better. It's
not so
gone.
much. Yeah,
So finally, you mentioned Karrion Cross. You mentioned Rey Mysterio.
yeah.
Is this something that you want to see? Did you enjoy the promo from Cross?
Yeah, I thought this was like an okay way to just do a quick transition into something new. That's an interesting feud to me. I think it'll make both men look pretty good. Like Rey Mysterio being the legend that he is, he can actually put over like a guy coming up in the way that he has to be, right? Again, I've said it a million times. Karrion Cross has to look like a hitman, like every time. So like giving him a smaller talent with the talent of Rey Mysterio works, helps get Rey Mysterio again away from this Dominic stuff, even though because it did numbers. So like they didn't make a mistake with the Rhea thing, like the beat down at Thanksgiving. But like again, it puts him right back there. So this I think will be a way to get him a little further away from that after that. So
I'm a big fan of them having the delivery not be the weird comic book character Karrion Cross. He actually had what to say. He didn't like overmodulate his voice. He didn't yell and scream his way to the match. He was very calm, very cool, very boss-like. I enjoyed it. Someone was asking what he said. I'm trying to look that up right now because I don't remember. But
it
essentially,
wasn't
just
very
just
long. Like yeah.
yeah.
It's again, just make him a hitman. Like he can have his spooky witch wife and they can do the entrance, but like the rest of him around it, I think it needs to be like a hitman character, like just an assassin.
Oh, here we go. He says the universe is chaos and randomness. He embraces that reality, but others struggle with it. And then he talks about how he taught lessons to Drew McIntyre and Madcap Moss. He lost the feud with Drew McIntyre, but whatever. He delusional heel. He said now it's the time to take
Yeah.
someone else into the eye of the storm, and it's the Rey Mysterio card that he got pulled by Scarlett. So it was pretty good, minus the whole like I beat Drew McIntyre, and you're like, did you?
Yeah, again, like just saying something to will it into existence. But like overall, here's the thing: like Rey Mysterio is not going for like he's not going to be just going for ages anymore. So like I think reasonably short matches with Karrion Cross will be interesting. Like do all of Ray's hits, have him lose to Karrion, and it's good for everyone.
Can you flank a tag team with Karrion Cross?
What do you think?
I know. Well, no, I don't know, but I'm thinking of like remember FTRKO at one point. Remember how random that was, the revival with Randy Orton. Is there somebody who, or a tag team that would work currently on the roster with a guy like Karrion Kross? Like Dijak, if he had a tag team partner?
Yeah, if they bring him up.
But also Dijak is like much taller than Kross and would just kind of overshadow him. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments who could Karrion Kross have as heaters, as two guys that would work as a tag team. Maybe NXT guys.
We got to set something up for the OC and
Viking Raiders.
Viking Raiders have Sarah Logan now. Yeah.
And also, like, it just, I feel like that would be such a random task.
You'd have to put Karrion back in the little God of War skirt.
That's true, you would. Yeah, if this was Vince McMahon's WWE, it would have been absolutely Viking Raiders. You both like to go Viking raiding? No, that's not what I do.
If this was Vince McMahon's WWE, the Viking Raiders would probably be fired by now.
They would have been gone. That's true.
Yeah.
It would have been a roster of 4, and Reigns, Lesnar, Randy Orton, who's injured, and Seth Rollins. That's it.
With the occasional Goldberg.
With the occasional Goldberg. You want to come back for one more, pal? Anyway, that's us. We ran long this week. Is there anything else we got to talk about? I think we got a lot.
Bray's promo was exactly the same.
Sorry, man. I'll talk about Bray when I'm actually intrigued by what he's doing.
Yeah. We'll wait.
When LA Knight
we'll be
slaps
here
and beats the shit out of him. Yeah.
That's what I want. Yeah, just beat.
Could you imagine his first match back and LA Knight beats Bray Wyatt? I'm into it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Now get out.
Let's get out of here. Tim, tell them where they can find you.
Tim Stone P, TNB, SCONEP, Twitter, Instagram.
Drop content here at Fightful Overbooked every single day. YouTube.com/Fightful Overbooked. Folks, thank you for bearing with us through a little strange moments with my internet and with other things. We're good. I'm Metro Pearl, JOELPEARL. Go check out a new episode of Newsworthy. Go check out Strong Style. Go check out Tag Talk. Go check out all the stuff that we have here at Fightful Overbooked. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you in the next one.